Hello and welcome to Point of View. Today we are diving deep into a fascinating and perhaps subtle cultural shift. It's about a three-word sentence that, for generations, has been notoriously difficult to say. I need help. For much of modern history, particularly in Western cultures, asking for help was often perceived as a sign of weakness. It ran counter to the pervading narrative of individualism, the pull yourself up by your bootstraps mentality. To need assistance was to admit failure. But is that still true today? A new study, commissioned by Upstart, has illuminated a profound generational divide. We are witnessing millennials and Generation Z fundamentally redefine what it means to ask for help, especially and critically when it's about money. Let's start by looking at the data. The poll surveyed 2,000 US adults, evenly split across baby boomers, Gen X, millennials, and Gen Z. The findings are stark. A significant majority of millennials, 71%, and Gen Zers, 66%, view asking for help as a positive action. Compare that to Gen X at 54% and baby boomers at just 45%, less than half. This isn't just a statistical blip, it is a seismic shift in social paradigms. The younger generations, according to the research, don't just view it positively, they actively believe they are better at asking for support than their predecessors. So the first question we must ask is, why? What has changed? Linguistically and sociologically, the change is twofold. First, the destigmatization of mental health. Millennials and Gen Z have grown up in an era where therapy, vulnerability, and discussing emotional states are increasingly normalized. The concept of psychological safety has moved from a niche business term to a mainstream expectation. Asking for emotional support is the gateway to asking for other kinds of support. Second, the rise of the digital community. Older generations were more insular in their problem solving. You turned to immediate family, perhaps a very close friend. Today, a Gen Z individual might ask for help from a global community on Reddit, a specialized Discord server, or even publicly on Twitter. The community is larger, and the act of asking is more transactional and less deeply personal, which paradoxically makes it easier. One respondent in the study captured the old sentiment perfectly, stating that asking for help doesn't emasculate a man and it doesn't make a woman look like a damsel in distress. This language, emasculate, damsel in distress, feels almost archaic to many under 35, yet it was the bedrock of silent suffering for previous generations. Now let's address the most complex part of this topic, money. It is one thing to ask a friend to help you move apartments. It is another thing entirely to say, I am struggling to pay my rent. The Upstart study found that 67% of all Americans, regardless of age, believe we should destigmatize asking for financial help. There's an appetite for change, yet the stigma persists profoundly. Why is money different? Because in our society, money is often equated with value, competence, and success. Asking for financial help isn't just admitting a temporary setback, it feels like admitting a fundamental failure in how you manage your life. This is where the community aspect, mentioned by another respondent, becomes crucial. They said, society is very individualist as of now, but there are ways to improve community. This is happening. Think about the rise of GoFundMe for medical bills or student debt. While one could argue this is a symptom of a broken system, it is also a normalization of mass-scale public financial requests. Gen Z sees this and internalizes it. But this brings us to the great paradox of the study. While Gen Z is most likely to ask for support, they are also the most likely to fear being judged for it. 64% of them feel this fear. How can this cognitive dissonance exist? How can you be progressive in action but simultaneously terrified of the consequences? The answer, I believe, is social media. This is the vulnerability paradox. Gen Z lives in a hyper-visible world. They are encouraged to be authentic and vulnerable, but this vulnerability is often performative. They see influencers post tearful videos, which are then met with both support and intense scrutiny. So, a 22-year-old might be willing to ask for help, but they are acutely aware that their ask will be documented, screenshot, and judged. The judgment they fear isn't just from their immediate circle, it's from the entire digital world. This is a pressure their predecessors never faced. When help is sought, the hierarchy is telling. The study found people turn first to friends, 39%, then partners, 36%, and only then to their mom, 24%. This reliance on peers, friends, and partners over traditional family structures is, again, a hallmark of these younger generations. They are building chosen families and networks of mutual support, or reciprocity. Aaron Opperman of Upstart summarized it perfectly. No one should feel like they're being judged simply because they could use a little extra support. Having systems in place to help people progress is how we grow together as a society. What we are learning in Point of View today is that help is no longer a dirty word. Its definition is expanding. It is becoming less about failure and more about strategy. It's about community, not just individualism. However, as we move forward, the challenge isn't just asking for help. The challenge is building a society where the fear of that judgment, so acutely felt by Gen Z, finally dissipates. The challenge is to create systems, financial, social, and emotional, that don't just allow for help, but actively encourage it as a sign of collective strength.